Welcome to the channel. Please subscribe if you like stories about the ancient world. Across the ancient world, immortality was a privilege. It was reserved for pharaohs, kings, and warlords, the powerful, the wealthy, the elite. Their journey to the afterlife was paved with gold and guarded by slaves. But in the scorching sands of the Atacama Desert, a people we call the Chinchorro performed a quiet, radical revolution. They looked upon death and declared it a democracy. For them, the right to eternity was not earned by wealth or power. It was a fundamental human right, granted to every member of the community, from the most skilled elder to the most vulnerable newborn. Today, we explore the most profound social experiment of the prehistoric world, a society that mummified everyone. Perhaps the most striking and heart-wrenching evidence of Chinchorro egalitarianism is the sheer number of mummified infants and children. In any other contemporary culture, these smallest members would have received simple burials, if any. But for the Chinchorro, they were accorded the highest honor. The highest investment. Archaeologists have made a startling observation. Often, the most elaborate and technically perfect mummies are those of children and fetuses. The black mummy of a child might display a more refined application of manganese paste. The red mummy of an infant might have a more carefully modeled clay mask and a more intricate wig. The amount of labor, skill, and precious materials invested in these tiny bodies was immense. A theory born of grief. Why? The leading hypothesis is as profound as it is tragic. The Chinchorro suffered from incredibly high infant mortality, likely due to arsenic poisoning in the water and other environmental hardships. The pain of losing a child was so unbearable, so culturally disruptive, that it sparked the genesis of their entire mummification practice. By preserving the physical form of the child, they stopped the process of disappearance. They could still care for the body, hold it, and keep the child present within the family unit. This was not an act of morbid obsession, but one of deep love and a radical refusal to accept finality. In preserving their children, they may have invented the very concept of artificial mummification. While the Chinchorro mummified everyone, they did not mummify everyone the same way. Here lies a fascinating tension in their society. Over their 3,000-year tradition, we see a clear evolution and a spectrum of complexity in their methods. The hierarchy of techniques. At one end, we have the incredibly complex and labor-intensive black and red mummies. The process of complete disarticulation, reconstruction, and painting was a technological marvel that would have required specialized knowledge, a team of skilled practitioners, and days, if not weeks, of dedicated work. This was the premium service of its day. At the other end, we have the simpler, bandaged or mud-coated mummies. This method was far less invasive and time-consuming, a more accessible form of preservation. A social ladder written in clay and reed. So, does this variation indicate social stratification? Did your status in life determine the style of your eternity? It's a compelling possibility. Perhaps community leaders, legendary hunters, or especially revered shamans received the full black or red treatment, a monumental effort by the community to honor a monumental life. Their elaborate mummies would have served as powerful, permanent symbols of their authority and legacy, standing as a visual anchor for the community's identity and memory. In this view, the most complex mummies were not just ancestors, they were founding figures, the stone upon which the social order was built. So, how do we reconcile these two ideas? The stunning democracy of mummification for all, and the apparent hierarchy in its execution. This is the Chinchorro paradox, and the answer likely lies in a nuanced understanding of their society. The foundation was equality. The expression was distinction. The core Chinchorro belief seems to have been that everyone deserved a ritually proper transformation and a continued presence among the living. This was the baseline, the universal right that set them apart from every other ancient culture. However, how that presence was maintained could vary to reflect an individual's life, achievements, or the community's relationship with them. This is not the same as the rigid, birthright-based elitism of the pharaohs. This was perhaps a more fluid, merit-based system. Your mummy was your final CV, a physical manifestation of your social resume. A simple fisherman might receive a respectful, mud-coated bundling. But the woman who possessed unparalleled knowledge of medicinal plants, or the man who could consistently harpoon the largest sea lions, might be honored with the full, transformative power of the red mummy technique. They created a system that balanced radical inclusivity with a recognition of individual contribution. It was a society that believed in a universal passport to the afterlife, but granted first-class passage to those who had earned the love, respect, and gratitude of the community. The Chinchorro leave us with a powerful legacy to contemplate. In a world increasingly defined by inequality, their practice stands as a monumental testament to the value of every human life. They understood that grief is universal, that the pain of losing a child is no less than the pain of losing a chief, and that every soul has a right to be remembered. Their death ritual was the ultimate expression of their social contract, a contract built on mutual care, collective memory, and a profound sense of community that extended across the ultimate barrier. They teach us that a society's greatness is not measured by the pyramids it builds for its kings, but by the reverence it shows for its most vulnerable members. The Chinchorro did not just mummify bodies, they mummified relationships. They mummified love. And in doing so, they achieved a form of immortality that transcends the physical. A permanent place in the story of what it means to be human. What do you think their practice says about their values? Was their society a utopian ideal, or simply a different kind of hierarchy? The conversation continues in the comments. If this glimpse into the world's first democracy has moved you, please help us share these stories. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for our next journey into the human past.